Patreon Q&A number 64. I want to thank all 85 of my incredibly overpowered, attractive, awesome patrons. Guys, I appreciate you. I love you so much. So thank you for everything. And to everyone else listening, there's going to be spoilers, so tread carefully. Free T-shirts asked, hey Shonen, wasn't here last week, but I'm glad to be back. I wanted to think of a fun question. So in your opinion, in a fight between the entire Monster Association and the Dark Matter Thieves, who would come out on top? And to make it fair, let's say that their ship isn't here and it's not in the Monster HQ, just an abandoned city. Hope you've had a good few weeks. I look forward to more of your videos. Take care. Hey, you too, Free T-shirts. So, this is not as clear-cut as most people think. And I know the hardcores are going to be like, Boros wins, Boros swiped left on the entire association. He watches everyone, it's over. And like I said, I don't think it's that definitive. Now, I love Boros, one of my favorite characters. I hype him up just as much as anyone, but let's go more into it. So, the association has like 500 or so members to it. And there's just way too many people to account for. So let's get rid of the fodder and the demons. Let's just say that Gory Boss sprays acid on all of them. So now we only have the cadres and the cadre executives and Hellfire and Gale left. So Murata said that if the three generals, Gory Boss, Melzergar, Grugenshu, were to go against Orochi, they wouldn't stand a chance at all. Even if they like teamed up, had a plan or whatever, he would just low dip them, no problem. Now, one didn't say that, but maybe one said something to Murata that made him think that. Regardless, this is the closest that we have to what would happen between them. So let's just put the generals against the cadres. So I scaled Grugenshu to somewhere around Psychos level. Maybe a little stronger, maybe on the same level, somewhere around there. So just Grugenshu would have his hands full with Psychos. And now Melzergar, he could compete against multiple cadres, but they're eventually going to figure out his marble thing, just like the S-Class heroes did. Maybe Goketsu just by himself will be able to figure that out, because we saw that, he has the 4 eyes, and he obviously has a keen perception of things, because he was eyes were moving super fast to keep up with Chosei versus Suiryu, so I'm assuming that he'd be able to catch on to the marble thing way faster than Metalbat did, so it's not looking too good for Melzergar. And then Gory Boss, who's said to be the strongest warrior, has acid and all that stuff. He could probably put up a good fight against most of them. But this is eventually going to come down to just too much volume for the Dark Matter Thieves here. And some cadres will die, probably. But I think all of the generals will eventually die as well. So it's essentially going to come down to Boros having to go against almost all of the cadres and Orochi. So for sure, Released is not going to be enough to take them down. He will have to go Meteoric Burst in order to compete against all of these crazy characters. I'm talking we've got Orochi, first of all. That's just somebody that Boros would have to take care of just by himself. But then we've got Psycho's potential backup, Black S, who can become Golden S, Goketsu, Homeless Emperor, Neon, Overgrown Rover, Evil Natural Water, Elder Centipede, Gums, Fear Ugly, and then Hellfire and Gale if they're still alive. Let's just say they died or something. But then, he's going to have to deal with, all the cover fire from Homeless Emperor, Overgrown Rover, and Evil Natural Water. And then he's going to have also the fire from Orochi. And it's so Meteoric Burst. That's why I'm saying he has to immediately go to this form. Or he's just going to get trounced if he doesn't. Yes, I even think that somebody as strong as that is going to get trounced by all of these high dragons and Orochi all working in tandem. Come on, guys. But so Meteoric Burst is way faster than all of them. There's no doubt about that. And way stronger from a physical standpoint as well. So it really depends on how long Boros can use Meteoric Burst. Can he use it long enough to take out all of these guys? Remains to be seen. So Gums and Fear Ugly got soloed by Abandonment Bang. So we know somewhat of a rough estimate of where they go with that level of power. And Meteoric Burst is obviously way stronger than Abandonment Bang. So I assume that Meteoric Burst can just one-hit a bunch of these dudes. Evil Natural Water, probably not, because he survived a punch from Saitama, although it really reduced him to a heart. So I think Evil Natural Water would still be in there. Overgrown River would probably still be in there. And then the rest of them, like Goketsu, Golden S, because I assume that he's going to become Golden S at this point when he sees Boros. This is going to be super competitive because they're all going to be working against him. And then we can't forget about Orochi. So it's hard to say. In both instances, I think either side could win. Now, if Meteoric Burst Boros, of course, did the classic Star Roaring Cannon, destroys the Earth, yeah, he wins. But are they going to let him do that? And also, it's Meteoric Burst has to, use all of his energy in order to use that attack. That's his final thing. He's done after that. Are they going to let him get to that point? Because Saitama just kind of allowed it to happen. And now we've got all these bloodthirsty savages all working together, going at him 100% aggressively. it's like difficult to say. So yeah, I think Meteoric Burst Boros might be able to solo them, maybe. But at the same time, it's like they probably could overwhelm him at the same time. We've got so many powerful characters here working together. So I would say it's like 60 or maybe even 55% in favor of Meteoric Burst Boros, with the assistance of the generals beforehand taking this one. But then there's like maybe even like 45% chance, or maybe even higher than that, that all of the cadres with the Roshi working together might be able to take this one. It's hard to say, but you know, you're probably just going to say Boros anyway, but just really think about it. Think how crazy this matchup would be. I'd love to see it. Maybe I'll just make a video entirely dedicated to this subject. Jospeh K asks, hello Shonen, who's the weakest hero that could beat Mr. Satan from Dragon Ball? I'm going through, and there's probably very few C-class heroes that could rip through a bus with their bare hands. Killing is not permitted, so unless poison can slice him with some paralysis, he's just not going to cut it. Nice. Mr. Satan's kind of strong, so I'm just going to compare his strength to like a bear, because that's like the base level that that was actually set in the Child Emperor Okami Mask chapter. So maybe he's stronger. Yeah, punching through a bus and pulling the buses like he did, probably stronger than a bear, way stronger. So I'm assuming that he's probably like high B class level if he were to come over to One Punch Man. So we're looking at like high B class guys. So maybe like Captain Mizuki, I think, could probably take him down. She's probably stronger than a bear. I'm assuming like if the Okami Mask read her, she'd probably be like 1,000 or like 11, 1,200, somewhere around there. So she could probably take him down. I think that's like a good baseline to draw right there for him. Legandaryus asks, do you think Saitama is the least skilled character in One Punch Man? Will we see the Saitama group become more of an official group in the public eye? So Saitama, while he is very funny, lackadaisical, and just real nonchalant in his approach to fighting, he's not that unskilled. He can throw a proper punch. He does have somewhat of a good fight IQ. He can analyze things and perceive, especially when he's like really serious, he can perceive what threats are and how to evade them and stuff like that. So he's way more accomplished than some of like the just pure gag dudes that we see in like the C class and stuff like that. So definitely not the least skilled. One of the not so skilled, especially like when we're getting like analysis from like masters of masters like Garo and Silverfang, but I wouldn't say he's the least skilled. Not even like in the, maybe not even the top 10 least skilled, maybe top 20, something like that. And as for the Saitama group, it's really difficult to say if they're going to become more official, because we never really get that name drop in the actual series. It's just in that bonus chapter with the Fubuki group going against them. So I think them as a group will be more official too. They're always going to be together. That clique is just this is awesome. It's like perfect, pretty much. King, Silverfang, Genos, and Saitama. It's awesome. I love it. And so they're always going to be together. They're always going to be rolling deep. But as for them having like the official title, maybe at the very or closer to the end of the series, something like that possibly, because then Saitama would have to be known and respected by everyone. Bryan asks, hope you're enjoying your weekend, man. Yeah, it's not going too bad. I hope you're enjoying yours as well, Bryan. First, I want to ask, what do you think would happen if Light wrote Saitama's name in the Death Note? Is Saitama so powerful that it can resist a heart attack? So you're trying to get me in trouble here, Bryan. No, I'm just kidding. But, you know, questions like this really cause a lot of controversy, because people will just say, like, the Death Note's power is just way too powerful for other characters to withstand and whatnot, and that's really what it comes down to. Like, is the supernatural force of the Death Note world more powerful than what Saitama is at his max potential? And it's like, well, it's hard to say, because Saitama, it has, like, you know, the physical realm of power. He's, like, punching and stuff like that, as to where, like, Death Note is essentially like afterlife magic stuff. So is that like going to supersede Saitama's incredible, outrageous physical power? It's really subjective in the end. But me being, you know, a One Punch Man stan, and I do like Death Note as well. I think it's one of the greatest series ever made, regardless of if it's anime or live action, whatever. It's just fantastic, almost perfect, honestly. But I think Saitama's probably powerful enough to just tank a heart attack from the Death Note. Just my opinion, of course. I'm sure people will have varying opinions as well. My second question is, what about Dr. Genus? Do you think if he starts creating new beings, creatures, will he try to make them evil, or will he just try and create powerful ones just for the sake of testing his knowledge? This is a great question. So in my Dr. Genus video, I say that he's essentially like, already had his character arc, and I think that's because one is keeping him around because he's like the most valuable source of exposition, more or less, next to Child Emperor. So I think he's going to be around for a while. He's probably going to be the one that drops a whole bunch of exposition on God in the end, just where I think his character is headed. So I think that if he does create new beings, which he probably is, because he's obviously doing something, as we saw in chapter 107 of the webcomic, I think he's probably just going to be testing himself. I mean, that's essentially all that he was really doing. I mean, in the very first place, he was helping humanity. But then when they kind of blacklisted him, that's when he really went to the dark side. As for what they inherently are, it's difficult to say because he's making monsters and creatures here, so they're probably like inherently evil at the same time, although it's different with like Armored Gorilla. I hope he makes more dudes like Armored Gorilla because I love him. He's one of my favorite characters. I love his temperament, but at the same time, they could be evil even though he doesn't really want them to be. It's just kind of just a byproduct of him pushing himself and seeing how far he can take biological evolution. Flashy Flash asks, hey, the one above all, last time you forgot my $5 to your question. Hey, I'm sorry about that, Flashy Flash. I didn't realize that you were a Yonatan, so I will, keep up to date from now on. So I'll ask it here. The question is, who do you think are the 10 fastest One Punch Man characters? Notes, no Saitama, Atomic Slash, Boros in his released form, Awakened Garo, Hellfire and Gale are in their dragon form, webcomic Sonic, no Blast, Moon Rider is on his bike, King is using his King style ultimate fleeing technique backwards B-dash. So I think you're asking, like, exclude these characters from the list. Not really sure what you're saying here, but just to be safe, I will exclude them. You didn't add Flashy Flash in here, but maybe you wanted to, so because he's obviously one of the fastest, so I'll exclude him as well. But I'll put the list on the screen. We've got Red Garo, Neon, Goketsu, Drive Knight, Silverfang, Tatsumaki, Phoenix Man, Brilliant Eagle form, My Mask, Fura Ugly, and Carnage Kabuto Carnage Mode. These are like the fastest guys outside of the ones that you listed in no particular order, but they are definitely in the top 10 in my opinion. My second question is what the Monster Association cadres can Hellfire and Gale as a team defeat? Thanks, bro. So this is a cool question as well, and I think as a team they could definitely take out Gums, Homeless Emperor, and Fura Ugly. Other than that, it's going to be pretty difficult for them to take out the rest of, like, Elder Centipede. I don't see it happening. Evil Natural Water, Overgrown Rover. Maybe they could take out Neon. They could probably take out Neon too. But Goketsu, Black S, and them, they're just way too much for them even as a team. Hey, the one above all. My question is this time is a versus question, and I hope it's okay. Flashy Flash, Super Ally, Dark Shine, Drive Knight, and Bang and Bomb versus Release Boros and Tatsumaki. Who wins? So Release Boros and Tatsumaki definitely take this one. Release Boros just by himself is like is just enough to take down Flashy Flash, Dark Shine, Drive Knight, Bang and Bomb. It wouldn't be like low diff. I mean, if we're just comparing Awakened Garo versus Flashy Flash and Dark Shine, it was kind of a low diff for him. But then you're adding in Drive Knight, assuming in his gold form, and then Bang and Bomb at their full power, going against somebody like Release Boros, it's probably going to be like mid to high diff for him. Maybe high diff. Maybe they can even take down Release Boros. I don't want to sell them too short, and I don't want to hype up Release Boros too much, but when you're adding Tatsumaki into the equation with him, I think they're probably going to take this no problem. Mick asks, hey Big Z, this is my first month pledge. Thanks for taking my Patreon V-card. I just hope I don't eventually end up pledged to an e-girl. Hopefully, well, we'll see what happens. My first question is about the timeline of the One Punch Man universe. More specifically, how many years in the past do you think the monstrification process began? I don't think that it was always occurred in the world. Besides natural monsters such as Elder Centipede and the Sea Folk, I mean, the existence of Demon Level wasn't even well known until after the association was formed. Also, how did the city survive monster attacks before the Hero Association existed? My theory is that God created the monstrification process to eventually create a being that would be worthy to fight for him. So it's kind of implied that it's always existed, like it's always been an integral part of this world, like it's just some kind of supernatural element that exists. But the argument could be made that it is somewhat new and maybe was even created by God. I don't think that's too far-fetched to assume, because God does play a big role in this story, and he's probably pulling more strings than what we actually see, and I'm sure it will be all confirmed towards the end. But I mean, we also do have some little hints dropped, like when they say like more and more monsters have been showing up recently. I don't remember the exact time frame, but they say like, I don't know, last 6 months or 2 years or something like that, that there's been more monsters than there's ever been or something like that. So maybe that's correlation right there. But just right now, it seems like that there's only monsters have always existed, but it's just been more common for them to exist now, like the ability for them to transform and whatnot. Also, the way that Dr. Genius talks about it in chapter 88, he kind of talks about it like it's always been a thing. He never really says it's like a new thing or it's more common nowadays or anything like that. And I'll talk about him more soon, because You go on to say, my second question, do you think it's possible that Saitama broke his limiter by becoming a monster? In the first episode, we were introduced to multiple monsters who transformed because they were obsessed with something, which in Saitama's case would be becoming a hero, so we can always end in one punch. I think it's him becoming bald and the removal of scars signify the monstrification, because what other hero undergoes such a radical transformation of their body upon in one event? Anyways, hope everything is going smooth in your life and you continue to pump out amazing content. Peace. Hey, thanks, Mick. So this is not monstrification, and that's because one specifically wanted us to know this, because obviously we can draw the parallels there and we can see that, like, oh, what he's doing is similar to what we saw of, like, the other monsters, like Crablanté and whatnot, but it is not the same, because he actually just uses Dr. Genius as a mouthpiece in Chapter 88 when he says, like, literally verbatim, when he's talking about monstrification, he says that these are transformations into a different being, not removing one's limiter. So that's all the real proof that we need right there, that what Saitama is going through is not monstrification. Although I feel that it all falls under the same umbrella. Like, whatever supernatural force is causing the monstrification, it's also probably what causes the limiter removal and the pseudo-monstrification that Garo goes under. Because he does gain, like, the regeneration ability, or somewhat is implied to be the monster regeneration ability, which also we see coming from monsters, as well as his outrageous superhuman strength that comes from monsters as well. So I think it's just pulling from the same power, but it's not quite the one extreme or the other. In the same case with, like, Garo, where he's in between human and monster, and the same thing. It's all connected, but there are different variations of it, if that makes sense. That's pretty much it for the video today, guys. Once again, I want to thank all 85 of my exquisite patrons. Guys, I love you! Thank you so much for everything. And if you would like to be in next week's Q&A video, just simply check out my Patreon. The $5 tier will give you access to it. And if you haven't already, please subscribe as well. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.